Hi everyone, welcome to Plot Twist. This is my new channel. I'm fairly new to BookTube. And really, little dude? Really? Okay. Anyway, so I'm fairly new to YouTube and BookTube in general, but I have always loved books ever since I was a child. And I wanted to give this whole streaming slash YouTube thing a try. I've already done a few things on my channel involving writing. So my channel is going to focus mostly on reading, writing, anything to do with plots. So that's talking about plots, talking about writing plots, and really just generally anything to do with reading and writing. So it is a brand new year. We are in the first day of 2022, although it is 6:28 p.m. where I am, so it might be a little later, or it might be even the second day of 2022. That is my cat. His name is Dritz, named after the famous Dritz Do'Urden. He has a sister named Guinevere. I am sure both will make an appearance in this channel, if not multiple times. So anyway, let's begin. So this is my very first video of me talking about books. I wanted to start the year off and start the channel off with a video about the books that I'm most excited to read from my TBR list, or my to be read list. I have a lot of books, and I am very deeply ashamed to say that I have not read all of my books. I will get to a point where I talk about my shelves, things like that. My shelves are on the complete opposite side of the room, so I can't really show them at the moment. But I do plan to make a full book tour of my shelves, talk about every single one. I, at this moment, have over 400 books in my library, and I've probably read maybe 200? Maybe-ish. Probably not even that, honestly. But you know, reading books and buying books are completely different hobbies, as I'm sure many of you know. So, well, let's go ahead and give this a shot then. So, the first book that I'm really excited to read in 2022, is one that I'm actually already in the middle of. I want to say the middle, actually. I'm only on page... I'm on page here. I'm only on page 39. But that is the Sacrifice Box. Where is the bed? This is so shiny. Okay, this does not show up well on camera, does it? Okay, well, that's the best you're gonna get. Maybe I'll post a photo somewhere over here, or over here, the actual cover. But The Sacrifice Box by Martin Stewart. So this book is set in the summer of 1982. 5 friends discover an ancient stone box hidden deep in the woods. They seal inside of it the treasured objects of their childhood and may make a vow. Never come to the box alone, never open it after dark, never take back your sacrifice. As I'm sure many can guess, everything goes wrong from there. But so far, this is a young adult book. I read pretty much anything. I do have a few issues, a few things here and there, but anything dark, anything in the LGBTQ I like to read. I am bi myself. There is another cat in the background. They love this curtain. I don't know what it is, but they like to play in it. So, anyway, so I read a lot of different things. I read young adult, I read primarily fantasy and fiction, leaning mostly towards the fantasy. I love dark fantasy, anything with dragons. I'll pretty much read anything with dragons in it, as, you know, I'm sure is quite evident. I like wolves as well, phoenixes, anything. So, sword of sorcery, magic, anything involving that, I absolutely love. So fantasy is obviously my main genre, but I do like to read romance, erotica, like I said, anything with LGBT in it, which this one also has, or at least I was told it did. I got this at Barnes & Noble, and it was sitting on top of a little tag that said, "This book is gay." And I was like, sold. Let's go. So I picked it up, and so far the only case that I've seen is the school bully calls Sep, or September, so far the main character, or what appears to be the main character of the show. What appears to be the main character of this book. He is called Queerdo at one point, so I don't know what that means exactly, but I'm really excited. So far I love the atmosphere. There's another cat. I have 2 cats. And there they go. So far, Queerdo is the only instance of LGBT that I've heard so far in this book. But like I said, I really like this so far. I am only 40 pages into it. I tend to give books a very generous amount of time because as a writer myself, I know how long it could take to get to, like, the meat of the story. I know how difficult it is to not only set something up, but to keep your reader's attention. So I tend to be a little bit more generous with books. I also tend to be a little bit more forgiving with books. So while a lot of people will say certain books are trashy or not that great, I tend to find something I like in all of them. So anyway, with the Sacrifice Box, so far the atmosphere is just beautiful. It's taking place on an island in the United Kingdom. I think it's the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom, yes. Or the British Isles, or something like that. Anyway, so it's got this wonderful, like, summer like slasher film feel to it almost. I like the characters. They're just very what's the best way to describe them? They're very believable in this world. They're exactly what I would imagine. They're exactly what I would imagine kids living on a tiny, tiny island, not a whole lot to do, not a whole lot to go see. They're exactly how I imagine kids would act. So I am very excited about this book, and hopefully I will finish it in a relatively good amount of time so I can set up a review. I would like to do more book reviews as this goes on. So the next book... Oh, Chunky Boy. Okay. The next book that I am excited to read this year is Dragon Mage by M.L. Spencer. This book is about a young man who has a very old and rare gift where he can ride dragons, as I mentioned before, anything with dragons. And look at that cover. Look at that cover. Look at that dragon. Look at that thing. Well, it's a wyvern, but whatever. I'm not going to get into whatever. But look at that. This dragon, this one guy just sitting... Figure out how cameras work. There we go. There's one guy just sitting all alone on this mountainside, and this big thing just pops up out of nowhere, growling at him. So I love covers. I love covers like this. You could draw me in quite easily with just a badass picture of a dragon. So yes, I'm really interested in this one. And it is a chunky, chunky boy. This has... We're at 818 pages for this bad boy. So he's the thick one. So I'm excited about that one. And purely just because I love dragons. I love outcast stories as well. Anything where people have a gift or something about them, skin tone, eye color, weird magic, whatever makes them valuable to other people to the point where they struggle with it. And that's what this one seems to be. So the back of this is Aram? And Ram. I don't know. Thing is, he's nothing but a misfit from a small fishing village. Right off the bat, I'm already interested. Like I said, I love misfit stories. They're all great. In a dark corner of the world, as far as Aram knows, I'm going with Aram. I have no idea how to say his name. He has nothing, with hardly a possession to his name. other than the desire to make friends and be accepted by those around him, which is something he's never known. But Arm is more. Much, much more. So that's just the first part of this. It goes on to talk about how he has a gift for dragon riding, and the story is basically just about him, or I assume is basically just about him dealing with his power and becoming suddenly very, very useful to everybody when all he wants is friends. So I can relate to that quite heavily, except without the cool powers. Yeah, not that awesome. But that's why I read about people that are awesome. Alright, so I know I rambled a little bit more about Sacrifice Box than I did with Dragon Mage, but it's hard to talk about books when I haven't read them yet. I'm just mostly explaining why I'm excited to read them. But this one, my next one, is actually a reread for me, or will be a reread. When All the World Sleeps by Lisa Henry and J.A. Rock. This is another LGBT book. I read this one back in, I believe, 2018 or 2019. I say back in when I'm pretty sure that only happened like 3 days ago, even though it's been like 2 or 3 years. Anyway, so When All This World Sleeps is this beautiful, beautiful, heart-wrenching story. I'm really excited to read it again because I first read this as a ebook, and I just got this the other day. Beautiful physical copy. Love this cover. You get this burning blaze in the background with the two characters in the front of the cabin, and this title is just gorgeous, When All the World Sleeps. And it becomes apparent because the story is about Daniel Whitlock, a young man who is terrified of going to sleep. And he's terrified of going to sleep because he sleepwalks. Now, normally, for a vast majority of people, sleepwalking is harmless. It can be a little annoying. You might be a little bit tired in the morning because, you've been walking when you should be sleeping. But for poor little Daniel here, he ends up committing a murder during his sleepwalking. He sets the town bully's house on fire with the town bully in it. And I say town bully even though they're adults. But Kenny Cooper, the unfortunate victim of this tragedy, he and his gang had been bullying Daniel for quite some time because Daniel is gay. And he's in a very, very small town. I'm sure as most people could relate to, being gay in a small town, or really just different in a small town, is a death sentence, really, let's be honest. It can be very difficult. Everybody knows everybody, everybody's at each other's business. So in this case, after a brutal, and I mean brutal beating by Kenny, Daniel goes to sleep, and he wakes up to find that his attacker, his abuser's house has been burnt down with the abuser inside of it, and the abuser has died. So he goes to trial. They find him guilty, obviously. I don't remember I don't remember if it was second degree or manslaughter. I think it was manslaughter, because they did have a person come in, or a doctor come in and explain what his condition is. Apparently this has been recorded quite often. So after his prison sentence, he is back in that small town on parole. And the story is about him trying to live back in society again, just trying to live a normal life, dealing with his guilt. And that's what I really love about this book. It deals with guilt so well. And it's not just survivor's guilt, which is something that Daniel feels as well. It's just guilt over everything. I don't want to give too much away, but one of my favorite scenes is a scene where Daniel takes a breather, just real quick. He chooses to laugh, or not really chooses to, but he laughs. And the way the townspeople reacts to that, and just the way he feels guilty after, it hits you right in the heart. The writing is very... I won't call it poetic. It has poetic moments, but specifically when it talks about Daniel's guilt, it becomes very relatable. And you don't even have to have gone through something as tragic as a murder in order to understand what he's feeling. So that's why I am really excited to reread this book in 2022. I want to feel all that again. I want this book to rip out my heart and throw it on the ground like it did before, which I'm sure it will, because this was just heart-wrenching. This was the first book in a long time that I actually cried over. Normally I can get kind of emotional with books, but usually they don't make me cry or anything. I teared up with this book. So I'm very, very excited to read that one again. The next book I am excited to read. This was actually a gift from one of my friends for Halloween. Actually, Bartell's Bookshelves. So my friend Jessie over at Bartell's Bookshelf actually gifted me this book for, I believe it was Halloween. Me and my friends kind of do a, we did a sort of a book exchange. We made Halloween more of a gift exchange holiday, just because we're all really into books and we all like creepy things. So the book he gave me was Summer Sons. Super excited to read about this. Again, it's LGBT, which, if you're sensing a theme here, I like a lot. So it's LGBT, and it is about, what is this about? Andrew and Eddie did everything together, best friends bonded more deeply than brothers, until Eddie left Andrew behind to start his graduate program at Vanderbilt. 6 months later, only days before Andrew was to join them in 6 months later, only days before Andrew was to join him in Nashville, Eddie dies of an apparent suicide and leaves Andrew a horrible inheritance. A roommate he doesn't know, and friends he never asked for, and a gruesome phantom that hungers for him. It goes on to explain a little bit more, but it sounds dark. I used a candy wrapper as a bookmark, apparently. I didn't actually start this book. I kind of read the first couple of paragraphs, and just to get a feel for it. I do that with any book. Any new book I get, I immediately read like the first 2 or 3 paragraphs, even if I'm not going to read the book right then and there, just because I want to get a feel. It's kind of like saying hello to this book. So yes, it is dark, or sounds dark. A southern summer in book form, and that just sounds amazing. It's a southern summer gothic. Say that a billion times fast. And it's about death, it's about accepting death, moving on, dealing with friends, lost ones, things like that. I have a feeling that this is going to also rip my heart out and throw it on the ground and stomp on it. But that's what I like. I like to torture myself with that kind of thing. So, very, very excited to read this. I love this cover, too. This cover is just beautiful. That beautiful skeletal hand, with the other hand reaching through it, and the vines, like, clearly life and death are keeping these two away. Like, you can just see with, like, the shriveled vines over here on the dead hand, and the living ones on the living hand, separated by life and death, but still reaching for each other in the ways that they can, and that is just absolutely gorgeous to me. So I'm really excited about that. The next book, I will admit, I'm a sucker for covers. I'm a sucker for pretty covers. I'm also a sucker for very handsome men on covers, which is the entire reason I picked up this book. This is Butcher Bird. Oh, I should say, back to Summer Sons real quick. The author of Summer Sons is Lee Mandelo. Mandelo? Am I saying that right? I'm awful with names. My name is Nakia. I have a really weird name. You think I would be better at names? I'm not. So, I apologize if I say any names wrong for any of these authors. please correct me. I will not be offended by that. So anyway, let's see here. Butcher Bird by Richard Cadrey. I'm gonna go with Cadry. I like that. This one just caught my attention, purely because of the title. Or not purely because of the title. Mostly the title, and also that chest. That chest is amazing. The tattoos are beautiful as well. Obviously, I have a thing for tattoos. So that is something else that really caught my attention. But the title itself, too, Butcher Bird. I'm a huge animal fanatic. My original plans in life were to go to school for zoology. That did not happen because I am terrible at math, and you need pre-calculus to have a degree in zoology. Even just the base degree. That clearly did not go well. So, but the butcher bird is a very interesting bird. I forgot where it lives. There's a few different kinds of butcher birds out there. So different butcher birds live in different areas, but the butcher bird gets its name from the way it eats its prey. Butcher birds, if you can't tell by the name, they impale their prey, so the small mice, rodents, lizards, any small animal that they can get their little teeth on, any small animal that they can get their little claws on, and impale them on the nearest thorn or spike that they can find. And that's how they eat them. They impale them, and then they pick at them. Sometimes they keep them there for food storage, in a sense. They're very closely related to the Australian magpie, which I'm going to have this cat impaled. This is Dritz. He's a big boy. He is 17 pounds, I think, because he likes to eat. And he does not like to exercise. That's a microphone. Yeah, good job, buddy. Yeah, you figured that out, huh? Are you gonna be my sound guy? Okay, is it too far away? Is that what's going on? Okay. Let's just... okay. Say hi, Dritz. Hello. Hello. So I guess I'm gonna have a cat in my lap for now. So anyway, the butcher bird. So yeah, really creepy little bird. So that's why I picked this up right away. But it didn't seem to have a whole lot to do about butcher birds. Actually, it had more to do about tattoos, which I was like, okay, sure, why not? Let's see here. Spider Lee. This man's name is Spider. It's Spyder, which is really interesting. You're just gonna sit there, huh? Yeah, this is what he's gonna do now. Okay. Cats. So Spider Lee is a happy man. He lives in San Francisco. I'm actually in California as well. I'm not too far away from San Francisco. I'm only about 2, maybe 3 hours away on any given day, depending on traffic. If anybody's been to California, you know what I'm talking about. Let's see here. So he lives in San Francisco and owns a tattoo shop. I don't see a whole lot of books about tattoo shop owners. I see a lot of books about people with tattoos, or have tattoos, but not necessarily tattoo shop owners. So I was really interested in that. His favorite drinking buddy, Lulu Garou, I think. You're gonna click on buttons for me, and I can't have you clicking on buttons. You can stay over here. Just stay. There you go. And his favorite drinking buddy, Lulu Garou, I don't know, and other friends all over town. One night, a pissed-off demon tries to bite his head off, and he's saved by a stranger, a small, blind woman with a sword as wicked as her smile. After that, Spider's life is turned upside down. So I was grabbed right away. Tattoo shop, small blind lady, swords, demons, everything I love, and a fantasy book. Except for dragons. So anyway, I was really excited about that. Obviously the cover is amazing. I love the way his tattoos, they're a little difficult to see. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see here. You have angels on this side, demons on the other, and you kind of got the same thing up here. Angels on one side, demons on the other. So I love the symmetry. His very 90s barbed wire tattoo around the neck there, very cringe. One thing that I also noticed, I'm colorblind to an extent. I don't really like to say colorblind, it's just the easiest way of describing that. But I have a hard time seeing shades. So anything that's really close to similar colors, I can't tell. You could take this shawl behind me, actually, for example. Some of these greens in here actually match the green behind me, as far as I can tell. I do lose them a little bit. So that's how bad it is. But anyway, as I was holding it to the light, I noticed there is actually a silhouette of a bird in the center of his chest. So that does tell me that the butcher bird, or at least birds, play a part in this. And I'm just super excited to see what that has to do with anything. As I mentioned before, I have hundreds of books, many of which I have not read. So you could roughly say that my entire library is in my TBR pile. But I picked the 6 that I was most interested in. So I figure 6 is a good number to work with, it's a good starting number. So the last one that I have here, I bought this one last year actually. The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. Abercrombie. Where did I get that? Abercrombie. Let's see if we can see that. Okay. Again, a beautiful cover. Endorsed by George R. Martin. I'm not a huge fan of Martin's work. He's a great author. Don't get me wrong. He's amazing. I just find his writing style a little lackluster, but anyway, it's nothing. So for Joe Abercrombie as well, I know he made it big last year, which is how I heard about him. And this book is the first book in his first law trilogy, is it? Something like that. He's got a few different books, a few different trilogies out at the moment. At least a dozen. This is something else that I've also started. I have a bookmark here. I did not get very far into. Again, this was just kind of a saying hello to the book itself. But what I did read was absolutely beautiful. I'm already in love with the main character, or who appears to be the main character at the moment, which is Logan Nine Fingers. Yes, that guy. And he also has a different character in here that I was really interested in as well. So far, his writing is beautiful. It's reminiscent of old fantasy, so very highly descriptive, but it has a new, fresh take as well, which I'm really into. So I'm really interested in this because it's a fantasy. That's just what I do. I like fantasy. I've heard great things about it. I am hoping to really get into this. This is another chonky boy as well. This is right about 500 pages. So I like big books, I like little books, and so I'm just really interested in seeing this, and what this has to talk about. And my cat is chilling up there. He's fine, everything's fine. So yes, I'm just really excited in getting into Joe Abercrombie. He just seems like an amazing author. He's got amazing stories to tell. And I like that it seems to pay homage to older fantasy in the way that it's like a band of people, or it's not just one main character. You get a bunch of different characters and their lives and how they're all connected. I really love that stuff, but it's obviously with a modern, fresh take. Alright, so that is my TBR list. These are the 6 books that I'm very interested in reading for the start of 2022. So let me know if you have read any of these books, if you liked any of these books, if you hated any of these books. So let's just talk about them. What about the plot of these books, if you have read any of them, spoke to you the most? What was your favorite part of the plot? Obviously no spoilers, but just tell me what about the plot intrigued you. Were there any twists that you liked? Were there any pitfalls that you hated? Were the things that you wanted the author to do more of, or less of, or talk about. So go ahead and write into the comments. Let me know anything you want to know about books. This has been Nakia with Plot Twist. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and keep reading.